And maybe, well, let's go ahead and showcase how much damage this thing can do against groups before we do the smasher test. So this is what it can do to a group of enemies, especially kind of envisioning this as a trap tunnel. Completely deletes them pretty well, pierces enemies, kills multiple, does blow up propane, but that's okay. Alrighty boys, welcome back once again to another video. How you guys doing? Guys, today we're going to be talking about the Staccato Shotto shotgun in Fortnite Save the World. This is a part of the new boombox set, which has come with this new season, and this weapon is absolutely insane. It is a drum shotgun that pierces enemies, makes them dance, and obliterates them to nothingness. This thing is absolutely crazy. I just got off on my live stream over on Twitch, and every single person in the chat agrees that this is definitely an S tier weapon at the very least. The type of weapon that you'd want to perk up absolutely immediately, and that is the exact type of thing that we're going to be talking about in today's video, the Staccato Shotto shotgun. Now, I want to give a shout out to Cindy because this was a person on my most recent video that actually didn't bully me for not knowing how to pronounce this, and she actually taught me how to pronounce it. So I know how to pronounce the Staccato Shotto now because of you. Thank you. I appreciate that. But let's go ahead and jump into the video and talk about this weapon, talk about the rolls, talk about the loadout, and all that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look at the rolls that we do have on this weapon. The Staccato Shotto comes with a crit rating, a double crit damage, and a reload speed. As usual, we always go with a crit build. The crit build is what's going to give us the most damage. The description for this weapon says a shotgun boombox, and it's an automatic piercing shotgun with a high capacity, impact, and fire rate. It also has the final perk of stunning or knocking back enemies, will cause nearby enemies to dance. We went with energy and reload speed as well. Whenever it does come to the perks, you can't really put much else in this slot. Crit rating right here, double crit damage, nothing else is really going to make it much better. This weapon has pretty decent overall base damage, a very low crit hit chance and low crit hit damage, but of course we do boost that up with our loadout and our perks. A 4.05 fire rate, which is very good, a magazine size of 15, which is huge, a range of 3,584. Very good for a shotgun. We have a 1.5 reload speed, which is fantastic, and a 2,000 impact. Now, I do want to compare this weapon in stats really quick to the Pulsar, because these are the two most recent piercing weapons, and I just unfavorited it. Let me go back, favorite that really quick, scroll back up. Both of these weapons are very recent weapons that are piercing and energy based more or less, and I do kind of want to compare the stats on these weapons because it really comes down to the play style of yourself, because we did have a conversation on stream, what is better, the Pulsar or the Staccato, because both of these are really good at killing huge waves of enemies. What exactly is going to be better? Well, if you're looking for a weapon that's going to have more crit hit damage, more fire rate, a bigger mag size, because this one has a more of a ammo cost. So if you're looking for one with more crit hit damage, more fire rate, more mag size, more range, better reload, go with the Staccato. If you're looking for a weapon that's just going to hit really hard and shoot really slow and have a really high impact, then go with the Pulsar. The Pulsar does not ignite propane, but the Staccato does ignite propane, so do keep that in mind. Both of these weapons have their own little play styles. I personally prefer the Staccato, but I'll get more into that whenever we actually get into the gameplay, which we're going to do in just a moment. This is the loadout that I'm using, Breakbeat Wildcat with the new team perk, Fumble and Subwafers. We get crit damage with shotguns, damage, as well as Cyberclops. He is going to allow us to shock multiple enemies whenever we're using this weapon. We're going to be hitting multiple enemies anyways, so we might as well go with Cyberclops. You could do Rex Jonesy if you wanted to. I did that previously, but I prefer Cyberclops. We're going to jump into this power level 124 mission, test out this weapon with a smasher test against groups of enemies and stuff, and just kind of talk about it in general and give you guys my opinions on it. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Alrighty boys, so here we are in game with the Staccato Shotto shotgun. Now, we do have a smashy boy somewhere right there, and we also have a smashy boy somewhere there. Wait, what? We got one over there, and we got one right there. So we got 3 smashers that we can actually test this weapon out on. There is one thing I do want to mention before we get to the smasher test. Of course, we're going to do that. Then we're going to kill some encampments, talk about the weapon. I do want to mention that I highly suggest not doing any scam or get scammed with the Staccato Shotto. Because if you do, and you try to pick this weapon up, hold your ears. Yeah, this weapon has a little bit of a oomph whenever you decide to pick it up. I don't know why. Epic does know about this, and I think they're going to fix it within the most recent patch, but definitely don't pick up multiple ones of these if you're not looking to have your ears completely destroyed. If you guys are curious on how this weapon fires, this is how the weapon fires. It is fully automatic. Honestly, I could kind of compare it a little bit to a shotgun. I could kind of compare it a little bit to an assault rifle. It is a really... Wait, what? The Huss just got in my little own Area 51. It has really good range. You know, it's got really good range. It's fully automatic. It's pretty friggin' good. Makes stuff dance as well. But before we do get more into those details, let's go ahead and do the smasher test down here and over there. We'll run around to that encampment over there and just kind of murder a little bit of everything. And maybe, well, yeah, let's go ahead and showcase how much damage this thing can do against groups before we do the smasher test. So this is what it can do to a group of enemies, especially kind of envisioning this as a trap tunnel. Completely deletes them pretty well, pierces enemies, kills multiple, does blow up propane, but that's okay. If we go and head on down here, go ahead and get a little bit of a smashy boy test. I got this candy corn LMG to kind of help me get rid of the other guys. Get the smasher out of his little corner, and eat this wafer so I get some extra damage. And get rid of these guys. Alright, so let's go and do a little bit of a smasher test. So let's get him slowed down. Gonna eat this wafer. And this is how much damage the Staccato can do. Boop. And considering that this is a weapon that is a multi-target weapon, I say this all the time about multi-target weapons, considering this is a weapon that specializes in multi-target damage, being able to delete a smasher like that is pretty good. And considering that we're not in a full party as well, that is pretty impressive because I'm not getting any of my damage bonuses from teammates. Go ahead and clear out this group really quick. As you guys can see, the electricity is going to the other enemies as I'm clearing them out. Pretty good rate of clearing out those enemies. Got a blaster down here that we can bully a little bit. So let's go ahead and head on over to this other smasher test if you guys are curious with yet another one. So we'll go ahead and eat this wafer. Get rid of his best buddies really quick. Actually, no. He's kind of rushing us a little bit. Get rid of his best buddies. There we go. Alright, eat a wafer, and we can go ahead and delete him just as much. And as you guys can see, you also have a lot of impact that goes behind this weapon too. So those are two smasher tests. That should give you a pretty general idea on how this weapon fares against enemies with huge health pools. Now let's just talk about the weapon in general. What makes the Staccato very special? Well, if you would have told me a long time ago, whenever the Tiger Jaw was the best shotgun in the game, that there would soon be a future shotgun in the game, except for it's going to pierce enemies and cause them to dance, rendering them useless, as well as completely destroying anything with a high health bar, I would tell you that that weapon sounds pretty overpowered. Well, that is exactly what the Staccato is. This weapon is something that you really don't have to put much thought behind. You just look in a general direction and just hold down the trigger, and you are going to be able to absolutely slay anything in your path. Just because it pierces enemies, it makes them dance. With Cyberclops, you can chain the lightning to other enemies, and using this team perk and this hero, you're able to have a huge amount of crit rate to be able to complement the double crit damage that comes with this weapon. This thing is an absolute monster. It takes what is really good about fully auto shotguns, which is, well, the multi-target damage and even the single target damage, and kind of ups it a little bit. It allows you to still be able to completely destroy smashers anytime you want, although it is a little bit on the slower side, I will admit, but still impressive for a weapon that is supposed to do multi-target. And it also allows you to take that multi-target damage to another level by not only causing enemies to dance, you know, drop their propanes, put away their shields, but also make them to where they can't hit you and pierce them and kind of just murder them without even trying. It's kind of very similar to any weapon that I've actually reviewed with the boombox set, that having your enemies dance is a very big deal because no other weapons are capable of doing it, and I feel as though a lot of people kind of write that off as something that's not as useful, but rendering the enemies useless to the point where they can't hurt you and they end up dropping the materials that they're holding, as well as being able to pierce those enemies, shock those enemies, crit on those enemies, kill those enemies whenever they have high health bars, you know, it's definitely something I'm not going to undermine and something that I'm definitely going to attribute to a weapon's success. This thing clears out encampments like a deatomizer. This thing clears out trap tunnels like a Deciblaster, you know, although you do have to make sure that there is no propane in your trap tunnel, of course. And it comes with the long range that you normally don't see with any shotguns. As you guys can see, I'm actually able to use this from quite a long ways away, And comparing this thing to the Pulsar, which is another huge fan favorite weapon, the Pulsar can't do this. You know, the Pulsar, it's a single shot weapon, it has high damage per shot, but you have to get extremely close to use it. And it doesn't blow up propanes, of course, but it does have a final perk, which does have a chance to do so. It also doesn't have the dancing like this weapon does, and it doesn't have really the general usability with the extra fire rate and the multiple reloads, and this weapon just has a lot going for it. Whenever it does come to the Pulsar versus this weapon, like I said earlier, it does come down to playstyle, but in general, at least for me, I would go as far as to say that this weapon is better than the Pulsar. If you guys do hang out on twitch.tv, you know, my streams, you guys know that my top 2 shotguns, my favorite shotguns, are the double boiler and the Pulsar. Well, now this weapon is definitely a lot better in my opinion, and if I were to rank my top 3 shotguns, it would be Staccato Shotto, the Pulsar, and then the double boiler. I think this weapon is definitely an S tier weapon and something that you really want to go out literally right now and perk it up. It pierces enemies, it crowd controls enemies, it's good against smashers, you know, it's got tons of range on it. It's a really good gun, man. It takes the archetype of a high fire rate shotgun, gives it crowd control, and then gives it the ability to pierce enemies, and honestly, you really can't ask for much more whenever it comes to a weapon. Plus, it doesn't even take energy ammo, so you can just use regular shotgun shells, and you're pretty much good to go. Using this thing with the new team perk absolutely slaps anything that gets in front of it, and I highly recommend this shotgun, and I personally give it a 9.5 out of 10. If it didn't explode propanes, I would definitely give it a 10 out of 10, but I do gotta recognize that it does have a little bit of weakness when it comes to that department. It would definitely be a trap tunnel shotgun if that weren't the case, because you would be able to reach all the way to the back of it, unlike a Pulsar. But yeah, guys, that is pretty much it for this review. I hope I wasn't a little too wordy and all over the place for you guys. I'm just trying to compile my my opinions to you guys in a genuine way instead of writing out a script. Just kind of give you guys, you know, what comes to my mind whenever I think of this weapon, and that's pretty much all the kind of stuff that comes to my mind, and all of it is pretty much positive. The only downside is the fact that this thing explodes propanes, and honestly, if that's the only bad thing about this weapon, I'll take it. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. I hope you guys did enjoy the video and the upload time. Normally I would wait a while before I upload this type of video, but you guys definitely made it clear you want these videos as soon as possible, so I hope you did enjoy if you made it all the way to the end. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you did like it. Make sure to check us out over on Twitch. You guys can get my first impressions and my thoughts on a weapon before I do come out with a review over there, and make sure you subscribe because I make videos like this almost every single day. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all next time.